Welcome to yet another episode of Mind Your Head. We'll start with thanking our sponsors, that is I&M Bank and Baoli. Canary, are you okay?
I'm great.
Are you really, really okay?
Yeah.
Okay. He said we are going to check in. So he says he's fine. Today
How about you?
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because you sound unsure.
I'm very okay. Actually, you told me something last time. I've forgotten what it's called. You said you're blessed or something. I need to start saying
Which one?
that.
8 minutes?
Yeah, the 8 minutes thing. Today we have Ryan. Ryan says I shouldn't call him a mental health advocate because it's a big thing, but we want to listen to his story and how he has gone through life at such an early age, but you've really gone through it. How are you, Ryan?
I'm all right. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for this great opportunity. It's great to be sitting among stars. It's great. On the mental health advocate thing, and I always say this every time that I'm in front of different people to speak. A lot of people have how do I say? They have earned some kind of pedigree. They have a somewhat right to talk about mental health and everything. I just drank and smoked too much.
I don't think you should look at it that way. You're saving by telling your story. I'm sure you're saving a life. Someone is healing from your story. So just tell us who Ryan is and why Ryan is here.
Well, Ryan is a grateful, recovering alcoholic and addict. I'm very, very blessed to be alive today. I'm very blessed to very soon be celebrating a year of sobriety. I remember this time last year, thank you. I remember this time last year, and I was saying this in the Fortress Within event that happened at UCU, that this time last year I was actually admitted in hospital. I was diagnosed with pancreatitis, and the surgeon who was in charge of me told me that in his years of practice, and he has been practicing longer than I've been alive. I was 21 at that time. He's been practicing longer than I've been alive, and in his entire scope of practice, he has never diagnosed an individual who's 21 years old with pancreatitis. And I was just like, thank you for your first.
So you're just 22, and how long have you been drinking for?
I've been drinking close to maybe 8-9 years. I've been using for probably about 8-9 years. Yes,
So from when you are about 12 years, you've been drinking.
I'm probably younger than that. But yeah, I remember times from from primary school when my older sister was called because of my misbehavior at school, and I used to steal my family members like alcohol, like beers and wine, because they were always littered around the house, and put them in like my water bottle and take them to school. I remember one time someone snitched, like one of the little kids who I was trying to influence snitched, and yeah, I think that's my earliest memory of me being caught.
How did you start, Ryan? How did you start with the abuse of alcohol? How did it all start?
A lot of people, when they ask this question, usually point to a very traumatic past or loss and everything, and that is part of the human condition. It's part of the human experience to lose and to get hurt and to experience some form of trauma. But till this day, even as I recount my story, I can't tell you why. You know, I would just say that it was a God-sized hole inside of me that was realized very early and needed something to fill it. Love couldn't fill it, or people trying to love, it couldn't fill it. Attention, being the life of the party, yeah, that couldn't fill the void. It was just something deeper.
What created this void?
I would say from my perspective, I would say that a whole lot of things played a part in creating this void. I would not directly say that this is what created it. My mom, bless her soul, she went to be with the Lord almost 2 years ago. But My mom was a single mom, a very hardworking single mother. And by the grace of God, she occupied a very powerful position in society. Um, she was a diplomat. And because she was a single mom and I was her last born child, I moved with her everywhere. So that feeling of family and being wanted, oftentimes I didn't feel like it because I was always the black sheep. People would just be like, he's now arrived. This one even sounds different. Look at the schools he goes to. Look at the clothes he's wearing. Look at the way he carries himself. He thinks he's better than everyone else. And that was just what I was greeted with my family. So on top of me not being present with my family, I wasn't emotionally present with my family. But it's changed over time. It really, really has. But also on top of that, there was that need that I initiated. I would believe that I initiated this part. I oftentimes looked for that missing connection in friends and company. So or in situations or events. So oftentimes, even when I was much much younger, I would host people at our house. When I finally moved to Uganda, I'd host people at the house, people who are much much older than me, all to just look cool, you know, because their parents wouldn't allow them. But my parent is not here most of the time, so I wanted to be the cool person. I wanted to be the cool guy. I
And
did
in wanting to be the
everything
cool
to do
guy,
this.
the presence of alcohol in your environment then led to you start to drink at an early age, right?
Yes, because the people who I saw drinking were cool.
Supposedly cool.
Supposedly cool. My mom, because of the her job, oftentimes I was around people of a certain status, certain caliber. They talked a certain kind of way. They drove certain kind of cars, and so an alcoholic to me was not the guy who's vomiting, and now his secretary has to come and his driver and take his things and then put him in the other car and then go somewhere. That didn't look like an alcoholic to me. An alcoholic was that guy who's using spirit and vomiting in the trench. So it looked glamorous. It looked nice. I remember the first time I smelled weed. There was this foreign, half Indian something, half Indian, half African something, and he had an assistant, and his assistant came up, and very well dressed lady, she even rolled for him. I said, "Wow, I want that. I want that." Huh? You have a buddy as a whole secretary, and she can present herself in different situations. She also can roll. It's like, my God, the bar for like job description must be very high. But it looked like something who wouldn't want. Yeah.
How is your health condition now since you are diagnosed with
So much better. I shock
pancreatitis?
myself every single day. I was invited for the UCU tuition run. And I am so excited every time that like I go to practice, every time I go to swim, I'm actually taken aback because I was a chain smoker. I had actually, when I was diagnosed, I had lost feeling in my toes. So in the middle of the night, I would like rub my leg across wherever, but I couldn't feel it. It was almost like pins and needles. For example, when you sit on your leg or something and it's like numb, I couldn't feel my toes for a very long time. And I was what, 21?
How did you get to hospital?
That story. Okay, so at the time I was studying at IUEA, and I was studying to become an architect. And I was heavily drinking, heavily using. Around this time, my family, after burying my mom, decided, okay, we need to do something with this guy's education. We need to make sure it goes forward. Because prior to my mom dying, for about a year, I was her nurse. I was my mom's parent. I was my mom's mom. And so I didn't go ahead to go to university like my peers. And oftentimes I was very resentful because I'm just like, everyone is living a life abroad or somewhere else. It doesn't even have to be too far away in Makerere here. And I'm like, you're brushing your mom's teeth.
The decision to be her nurse, was it your decision or the family's decision or her decision?
I believe it was collective. It was by what was happening there, because number one, I'm the youngest of all of my family members, and because of how far they live from where the family home was, it was just more fitting. I was actually there the day that she got her stroke, in the middle of the night, and I was the only one. So, by the grace of God, I navigated that and hit the ground running. I was a full-on nurse for almost like a year. So when I was able to now go to university, after giving my addiction an excuse. I was in active addiction all this time, taking care of my mom. I would wake up, because she'd have to be awake by maybe 5 a.m. in the morning. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and walk the streets of Gaba Road looking for a kiosk where I can buy myself alcohol. And I'll be back in time, having had maybe like 200 milliliter bottles of alcohol. I've had enough to smoke. I'm now ready to start my day. I'm now ready to put on my nurse's hat. So after we had sent my mom to be with her maker, I had continued with the excuse. Now I had another excuse. Like I wore it like a badge. I'm an orphan. I'm an orphan. My God, I collected mabugo. Hey, shout out to all the people who shout out to all the people who gave me mabugo. But on top of from that, my addiction took a very hard turn. I couldn't think. I couldn't sleep without being high. I couldn't attend a lecture without being high. I couldn't go to a party without being high. I couldn't interact with other individuals without being high. And so, to answer your question, one day I was coming from my place, because I lived alone in Gaba. I lived alone by myself off campus. And I remember that day I woke up and I was just not feeling it. Hangover was the order of that day. I like to say, but this is blasphemous. Give us our daily hangover. It was like daily bread. So this one was different. I woke up. I was just like, I don't feel like vomiting, but I'm just like, what's going to happen? And so I was just like, just shower, because after that, I'm going to hair of the dog it. Hair of the dog is a term that we addicts use, that when you have hangover, you drink more to alleviate the symptoms of like nausea and the vomiting. And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that before I leave for my lecture. But then I was just like, nah, I'm feeling weird. You know what? Let me just sit on my border and go for my lecture. And if anything, I will go to the first aid room. So I remember getting off my border. I say, thank you very much. And I give him his money. And I remember vomiting on him. And that's the last thing I remember. And so this part of the story was recounted to me. It was told to me. I don't really remember. It wasn't, what's the word? Cognizant cognizant of what was going on. And so I'm told that I was rushed to the first aid room, and my blood pressure was 100 over 150, and my blood sugar levels had dropped to 2. So I was my chest, my heart was going to jump out of my chest, or I was going to go into what they call hypoglycemic shock. But either way, I was dead. So the institution where I studied tried their very best almost to get me off their hand, because my situation was not promising. I was going to meet my mother and the God that she served. They had quickly rushed me to the hospital, to IHK, and everyone was informed. My family members rather, my insurance, everything was informed. So everyone was just ready to receive me. And so they were trying to stabilize my condition. And I remember waking up and I was just annoyed. Like, why is there so much commotion around me? I want to get back. And I was making a big fuss, refusing to calm down, trying to remove the cannulas from my system, like anything that is on me, trying to remove them. In all honesty, to go back to my room and use, because any kind of displacement from a sense of calm required me to use. If you pissed me off, I had to use. If you made me happy, I had to use. If I wanted to cry, I had to use. So anything from the normal, my equilibrium. It was solved with my drugs of choice, and I fall back unconscious, and the next time I wake up, my family members are sitting like this, like the way you people in the studio are sitting, and they're all looking at me. And I don't know what to say. So one of my family members stands up to go and call the doctor. And the doctor comes in, and now the doctor stands over me. And the rest of my family start going out because they're very emotional about what they're seeing. Never had they known that their feta, their Ryan, was an alcoholic, a drug addict. No one knew it. I always hid it behind, oh, this is depression. That's why I'm losing so much weight. I don't drink enough water. That's why my skin is not doing very well. And so it was just me and the doctor. And the doctor said to me what I had told you earlier, that never have I seen in my entire years of practice that I'm diagnosing someone with pancreatitis that is 21 years old. And that was me in the hospital this time last year.
And how do you then make the decision not to go back?
I
Not
love that
to use
question.
again.
I love that question because, and allow me to take you on a little bit of a journey. I was in the hospital for 30 days, trying to recuperate, whatever. I go back to study, but now with resolutions. I've realized that I have hurt my family. You know, they have already experienced loss. They have done what they could. They have tried to reach out. They've tried to be nice. They've tried to seem invested. And so I make some resolutions that, you know what, I won't drink. I won't use again. Yeah. And so I leave and I go back to my student accommodation. And I remember I'm now going to school, and something tells me, oh, pass by this place to print a couple of things, to print a letter of thanks, because I decided to write a letter of thanks to my school for standing with me in this time. And I realized in like the shop right next that Uganda Waraji has a new flavor. No, I was.
You're like, can we releasing a new flavor at the time I'm quitting?
I went back. I did a double take. I said, no, probably that's like a soda or something. It looked at me. And that began just after, like a few days after getting out of hospital, that began my second journey down that rabbit hole. And it got worse and worse from there. Too many stories to tell. But my turning point, essentially, I don't know. Every time I think about it, it always makes me a bit emotional. But my turning point wasn't pain, because pancreatitis, sometimes I tell myself and tell other people that let Jesus first come back. We're going to dispute which one was more painful, crucifixion or whatever I went through. Because I would never wish pancreatitis on my worst enemy. I would never wish that pain. It's absolute hell. You can't sit, you can't sleep, you can't lie down. You feel like someone has punched your stomach and you can't go to the toilet. So it's horrible. But I remember one time that on my birthday, I had breakfast with my sister, and I was just like, you know what, this year is my year. I'm putting aside the old things. I'm putting aside the old habits. And she believed me. I looked into her eyes and I told her with all of my heart that I've come to the end of myself, which I had. It wasn't a lie. But my sickness, my allergy towards substances and towards alcohol is baffling and powerful. So I meant it. I meant that I'm at the end of myself. And I sat before her and I said that, you know what, I don't want to use anymore. And we concluded our breakfast. And I went to cut my hair with a zinge, the big one like this. So I thought to myself, you know what?
Sheila, do you know Zinge?
A big bottle
Yes,
of
yes,
all right.
of we're not trying to sponsor them. A big bottle of alcohol. Let's do that. And I sat in that barber shop, like everyone was looking at me like, this guy is hard. This guy is young, but he's drinking a whole thingy right there. I was just like, yes. Yes. Giving everyone eyes. Like some people even want to come and ask, but then I'm like, I have to look hard. Keep
Keep the look.
keep the look, And I remember after that, returning back home, and my sister is just like, Ryan, come. And she reminds me that, me and you literally nursed our mom until she died. Yeah. I was like, yes, I remember that. It's really sad and everything. She was like, no, you know that, right? I was like, yeah. She was like, I'm not going to nurse you until you die. So get up and get out of my house. I have nowhere to go now. So I stand up. I'm like, you know what? I have that zinga I didn't finish it. It's still in my bag. I stand up and I say, you know what? With dignity, I say, okay, no problem. No problem. Let me go. And at the time I lived in Buya Hill, I descended down to Bugolobi, bought myself another UG, and started walking. 2 days later, I found myself in Buganda Road next to a Toto church. And long story short, my family now comes to find me. And I realized that, and I always tell this in a story, because this is really the turning point. I didn't realize that actually I had not bathed the whole of the month of December. I had not showered.
So you'd wake up, put on your clothes, go, start moving and drink.
Yeah. That was my life, because I didn't care anymore. I didn't care for myself. I mean, I got pancreatitis. No one shared that pain. We didn't Bluetooth the pain. You take some, I take some, me to you. No. It wasn't spread like Wi-Fi, like we're all sharing in this together. I felt all of that pain. Every feeling of it I felt. And that didn't seem like it stopped me, did it? And so when I get home, after they find me, everyone is quiet. No one knows what to say. Because I don't know what to say. And so that day I decided to, okay, let me go shower. So I go into the shower. And also, going into the shower, I realized something. I had not looked at myself. Probably maybe like a year. I didn't know what I looked like. And so I take off my clothes. I'm looking towards the door because there's like a thingy on the door that like hooks on the door. So I hang my clothes there. And I turn. And I say, who is... Sorry, I was about to even just say, who is that? Sorry, I might get a bit emotional. I looked at myself and I remembered the face that my mom used to give me, actually. I remembered the face that my mom used to give me every time she would call me by my name. I always liked to be called Ryan, but my mom would call me Feta because it's her who gave me that name. And it's Lubara to mean my gift. And
the guy in the mirror didn't look like the gift.
The guy in the mirror took my gift. The guy in the mirror took my gift, and I didn't know where he had put it, and I don't know if he's going to give it back. And I couldn't stay in that room, so I ran back out. I said that I'm not going to shower. And my cousin just started screaming like actual, like, not because I was naked, but like screaming because like Ryan is losing his mind. And I was like, I'm not going back into that room. I'm not going back into that room because now I'm facing myself.
Is that the day that you made the decision that
Yeah.
you're not going to drink again?
Looking in the mirror. Can you imagine? A lot of people
Not
say,
even the pain,
Not
not
the pain.
even anything
People
else. but
talking to
Not
you.
even the
people
loss of your
talking to
mother.
me, not the loss of my mom. The loss of my mom was actually my opportunity to finance my addiction. None of that.
That was your turning point.
It was looking at my naked body in the mirror like this.
As we conclude this conversation, how have you changed your environment to support your sobriety?
I have surrounded myself with very good people. I am a member of AA and NA, Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous. We are anonymous, so I don't know. I'm probably breaking a couple of rules by saying that on camera, but we have meetings all around the world, all around Kampala, all around Uganda. And
How
these are
often do you
people-
meet?
I am at least at every meeting. And now I'm in university. We had only 2 meetings in my university, but before I had moved to university like 2 months ago, I had attended maybe 6 meetings in 7 days. It's a 1-hour meeting. There are meetings at Christ the King. There were meetings at Design Hub Golobi. There are meetings next to Capital Shoppers in Tinder. There are meetings in Entebbe, wherever I found myself. Because I had finally found those people whose eyes light up when I walk into the room. I had finally found those people who are just like, this is my person. And I've been looking for that.
So they were your safe space.
They were my safe space. Yes.
And how have you managed to hang in there? Because it's one thing to have these people around you trying to talk to you and push you through, but to actually make the decision for yourself to say, I will go to these AA meetings every day. And now you've even transitioned to, I will go back to school and finish what I did not finish. How did you get to that decision, and how have you managed? Because it's not easy.
Thank you for that question. I would say that I would say it like the way my sponsor said it to me. Sponsors in AA are basically your guides. Shout out to you, Derek. When you think about wealth and riches, they're 2 different things. When someone is rich, they could be rich because they have won the lottery. They have gone to bet, and they have won the big one. They've bet well, and now they're rich. Wealth isn't like that. Wealth is predicated on system structures, people, information that you know to keep you at that level. And that's what sobriety is. Sobriety is not necessarily because you've stopped drinking or you've stopped using. There are certain core tenets of the AA program or the 12-step programs that require surrender, you acknowledging your higher power. I've always been Christian. I grew up in a very Christian household, you know. So much so that, like, if you know, I was part of those Christian families that after church you have to go and greet the entire clergy. You know, I even served in church and everything. My family has served in church, but you know, I would go to church high, very very high. You know, I'd go everywhere and talk about Jesus, even high. You know, but that knowledge of my God didn't really do anything for me. It wasn't evident that I met this God that I talk about, and so as you go through the steps of the AA program, from steps 1 to about 4, you are dealing with the issue of surrender. An addict oftentimes puts themselves in the seat of God. They are the Alpha and Omega. They are the authority. They are the supreme law. They are the law. The law is them, and they are the law that was made flesh. They don't care for the next person or what they do for themselves. And so turning your will and life over to the care of your God as you understand your God is one of the first steps. And having a conscious contact with your higher power, coming to know a God that is loving, that is forgiving, and a God that is yours has kept me sober, because now I walk around with, the God of Isaac, Jacob, and whoever else, but I walk around with the God of Ryan. the God who saved me, and that keeps me.
Ryan, what's your message to someone in your situation right now, the situation you are in years back?
Can I be brutally honest? You're going to have to fall very, very hard and realize that you're finally fallen and stand up. Because oftentimes we're going to make excuses to tolerate our addiction. We will say that, okay, I'll only drink at parties. I will drink beer. I won't do the hard things. I'll drink at night, not before work. I will change from scotch to brandy, whatever you want to do, to just create space for your addiction. And this goes across all kinds of addiction. This could be for eating. This could be for sex. This could be for porn and masturbation, which does come with drug and alcohol abuse. And the way I've been able to see deliverance, even in the other aspects of my vices, is because I hit a rock bottom. I couldn't find any more excuses for my addiction. And that is the sad but honest truth. No one will change until they want to change.
And no one will change them.
Yeah, no one will change them.
Yeah.
You think pancreatitis, you try pancreatitis for tomorrow. Just that did change
But it
anything.
didn't change it.
Yeah.
Ryan, it's been a pleasure hearing your story and sharing, being open, and glad to know that you're almost making a year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad to know that you're back to school.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sheila, great lessons here.
Very, very touching story, Ryan. And I'm always happy for you coming out and sharing your story, because someone else is going to listen to it and maybe they will pick one or two things that will help them in their journey to healing. But I guess as you share your healing, so thank you so much. To our viewers, please subscribe to our sponsors and Mbank Paoli. Thank you very much. See you.